Oh, yep, you can. Chardonnay, first today. Chardonnay. Look at that. Just want you to. Feel good about that. Feel good about that. You earned that. You earned that. All right. Hey, Robert G. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Dad's Workshop. Oops. Everyone's good. How about you, Robert? Just got in here, man. We were just starting here, so obviously I wait a couple minutes and let people kind of trickle in, trickle into the live stream. Working on these mortises. Pretty confident. I just tested one of these mortises out with one of the tenons, and it looks like as long as I whittle it correctly, it's not going to split these boards. I was a little concerned because I expanded the mortise. If you paid attention the last time I made the beds, the mortises were smaller. I didn't make them the exact size of the boards, but this time I simplified that, made them the size of the board. So I'm just hoping that one change doesn't compromise the design. Milling up lumber, there we go. And you got to glue up, gluing some up. Yeah. Laminated wood, a lot of the wood sources I've read say that when wood is laminated, especially when it's laminated with other woods, like mixed woods and things like that, it creates more stability, like osmotic stability, the stability that it has with the relative humidity fluctuation that goes on. That's why Brian May from Queen, his guitar was the greatest guitar ever, in my opinion. It was this laminated kind of hodgepodge of pine and different types of strips of that you wouldn't think would go on a guitar, but when laminated together, it turned into a great guitar. I told somebody that before. Best guitar ever made, Brian May's guitar from Queen. Him and his dad made it or something like that. Have to look up the story. Welcome to Dad's Workshop. And you're waiting on the glue to dry. Yeah, and I'm sure you got a bunch of clamps. You were talking about clamping it up yesterday. And I was cutting the grass the other day. Before I cut the grass, I laminated a bunch of boards because I knew I would want them ready later. So now I'm actually working on those boards, even though I'm not so convinced that they're all plumb if I set them up on their ends. Welcome to Dad's Workshop, everybody. I'm going to start sawing stuff. Shout out Robert G and Chardonnay for being the early birds. Now, I broke my mirror, and I'm a superstitious person. I didn't want to tell anybody I did that, but I broke my mirror. Sorry to tell you all. Yeah, it's a pretty good AI version of me, too. So check out the thumbnail. We definitely we put some time into these thumbnails. The book would tell me, or people would tell me, not to do these shoulders first. Don't do the shoulders first. Now, which saw should I use? Should I use the, or should I use the? Nah, not that kind of glue, Chardonnay. I'm gonna start like I watched this video that said don't start from the shoulders, but they're mostly talking about using power tools. But I won't start from the shoulders today. You know what? It just occurred to me. I don't want to do this yet. I want to drill through this first, but I will cut these. I'll cut these shoulders on this side before. That's typically not the order I do things in. Oh no, are we looping now? Oh no. Sure? Okay. I disappeared, that's why I'm saying. Looks like it's still going, I don't know. Yeah, generally I want to put my chisel stop cuts, but you all know I'm ADHD, so occasionally I do stuff out of order. So trying to cut these down to this line here, but not any further, since I did it out of order anyways. I'll go ahead and make the shoulder cut here. Make it just a little bit shy of that line towards the inside. Definitely my line's not great on that side. Maybe I should have used the other saw. That's all right. We'll straighten it up. Yeah, it's just regular wood glue. Is just it's like paper glue mostly. It's not a highly chemical type glue. Like it doesn't have a chemical smell or taste. I'm gonna use the little saw here for this one. I did better with these shoulders with the small saw. This is a pull saw, tiny Ryoba saw, so it cuts on the pull stroke, not the push. Different than a Western style saw. That's good enough for government work right there. Welcome to Dad's workshop. If you're new here, and as my friend Mike says, I've earned your respect. Is that what it says? And then, yeah, I mean, we can relinquish a point. Well, hold on. Yeah, you have a point. I mean, we can cede it to Chardonnay, but it's on the chart now, you know. It's 1 point to 1 point, so, you know, just get here on time tomorrow, you know. Stop with these unexcused tardies. So like I said, generally I don't do these cuts first. I usually do my chisel stop cuts, and that's what I should have done, but I forgot. Was late on purpose, man. Maybe we should relinquish a point. Shoot. White out. I need Miss Heather's gonna have to bring me some white out. I have to white out your point. It's permanent marker, man. Look what you're doing. Look what you're doing, man. And just by being honest too. Stop being honest. Got my chisel, got my mallet. We're gonna do some stop cuts. Maybe I should turn this thing a little bit so you guys can see it a little better. Maybe that helps, or maybe not. I'll probably have to turn it back to do the stop cuts here, but I'm actually going to go ahead and go around here and give this a couple mallet hits along this line here. Well, you know, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it right here. Because when I drill with that Forstner in there, I don't want it to take more out. And there's a knot in the middle of this too, as I've talked about a lot. They cause a lot of like headaches. So I want to make sure I'm kind of, the wood is going to do what I want it to do. You know, here. That's like already wanting to come out there. So I'm going to flip it over. I'm giving it a firm tap with this thing, really, as you can hear. And this chisel has just been sharpened, so the cut is going nice and deep in there. Because when I drill, it's gonna throw this material around somewhat. Yeah, you didn't need to tell the truth, so now you know you got a dilemma. Just like the song, you know, like that, and I don't even have to pay for the rights to that. No, we can't. We cannot do that. Some like that. That's not so ASMR-y though. All right, now we got stop cuts all around there. I'm trying to think, is there anywhere else I need to make sure that I'm careful about? This little knot right here, which I'll zoom in to show in just a second. This knot is where I'm going to attack first, but I got to get my battery off the charger, so give me 1 second. Battery's off the charger. Real-time YouTube stuff. Real-time Hollywood stuff. I'm going to go after this knot. Let me zoom in. Thank you for coming to Dad's workshop today. If you like the content, click that like button, subscribe potentially. Here we go. We're gonna drill this out with the Forstner bit. I want to make sure I'm on it right now, and I am. There we go. Right there. We're gonna start with this knot right here. Let's get the lot here. Start with this little knot right here. This little knot is down. I've noticed doing little cuts with these things is a little more effective, so I'm going to go all around that area. All around where that knot was, and the grain's going to be wonky, right? I have noticed that doing smaller drills with the Forstner bit is a little more manageable. Make sure I'm not going over my cut there. Kind of the only drill bits you can overlap with. Welcome to Dad's Workshop, ladies and gentlemen. This is a mortise right here, a through mortise, and a tenon will run through this, but right now we need to remove the waste, so we're using a Forstner bit to do so preliminarily, right? The rest will come out with the chisel. this is why you got to be careful not to go too deep, because you'll end up doing that. We're pretty good. All we got is this one spot up here that we really have to fix. And then we go through all that. I think it's going to take some sharper force there. But let's flip this over and do the other side so we don't blow this out. Avoiding blowout, real key here. Very resinous wood, you can smell it. Kind of cuts a pretty clean plug. I went a little over my line right there. Yeah, this cut was bad right here, but otherwise not too bad. Luckily, I make these things a little bit undersized, so that when I go back and chisel it, if I do something like this right here, where I cut a little bit into the line there, it usually is just the right size. Thanks for coming to Dad's workshop today. We're cutting this mortise for the bunk bed project. I'm going to get another very sharp chisel, because I just sharpened my chisels, and I'm going to go after this. That's a good one, but let me see. I got a couple other ones here. A couple other candidates. Yeah, that's a good one. I want to apply some more force, and obviously, you know, in physics, if you have a smaller tip, the force is applied, more force is applied, you know, when it's a smaller, over a smaller surface area. So having a big chisel doesn't necessarily give you more power. It actually doesn't. It's the opposite. Spreads that out over the area, surface area. So I know big, you know, framing chisels are big, but that's more because you're trying to get a flat surface over a large area. I'm not gonna lie to you, this chisel definitely feels very, very sharp. So whatever I did worked. Basically, the fun part will be removing this housing area here once we get this mortise completely carved, you know, because that's easy. Some of it might come off anyways along the way. I want to do my corners real well, make sure my corners are square on some of my other ones. I regretted not taking more care with the corners here. Going straight down with some firm chisels to make sure that I've got a square entrance there. This is the third beam. Not beam, post, to be specific. The third post. I've got the beams done. They're the tenons. Got all 4 of those done. These are the posts, the vertical members. Good question. How's everybody doing? If you're new to Dad's Workshop, drop a comment and let me give you a shout out. Don't be shy. We love everybody. We don't ignore anybody unless they're rude here. It's the only time we ignore people. Don't be shy. Tell Calvin something here. Give me something to work with. Or you can just hang out. That's cool too. Breaking through. Now this is when I want to flip it and make sure that I've cut as much out on the other side so I don't blow anything out here. It's a delicate dance, in my opinion, between one side and the other when you're doing these joints by hand, especially with a chisel, you know. You're not routing it. Delicate dance. So let's flip it and see what we got on the other side going on. Yeah, we still got a lot of material over there. So we work at that a little bit. Hopefully it's still in the frame. I'm going to go after that with my wide chisel because it seems to be a large area that needs to come down there. Y'all notice I'm not being shy with this thing either. It's not something to be shy with. Welcome to Dad's Workshop, ladies and gentlemen. You're working on this knotty mortise here. I'm right in the middle of resin pocket or a knot right now. I can see it. I'm gonna take this to it here. Oh yeah, got it. So it's okay to use tech, right? If you want to call it a screw gun tech. Since this conversation is always going on all the time. Welcome to Dad's Workshop. What is handmade is the question, I guess. You know. Some people say that the stuff they make on a CNC router is handmade. So what is handmade? Someone tell me. I'm not saying either, you know. Had this conversation with Miss Heather earlier today. Click that like button and subscribe to the channel if you like hanging out. If you want to learn some of this type of craftsmanship, you know, this just like armchair craftsmanship, basic stuff, you know. How to make your own furniture, you know, that kind of stuff. Caught my phone before it hit the floor there. I blew out one of these the other day, so I'm using more of an, what do you call it, a incremental process here. Especially with this knot that's in here. If I try to just hammer the mess out of it, what happens is you grab the grain wrong, you know, with your chisel, or you hit something too hard, or you chisel, try to take too much material up, and it takes a lot more than what you bargained for, you know. Who we got? Oh, Daniel. What's up, Daniel? Shout out, Daniel. Shout out all my regulars here. Shout out to all my new people. Drop a comment. I'm here until Monday through Thursday, 5:30 until. And I say until because some nights we go longer than others. You know, to finish projects or whatever. If you want to see some of my videos, or if you like to just relax and you want to hear somebody work with tools and stuff, I got a million videos on here. Not a million, like 250 videos, and we got lives like crazy. I built another bunk bed. I restored a couple chests. If you want to, like the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord and chat with us. We're like a family. And you know, drop a comment. You know, chat with us. My name's Calvin Seaton. You can find me on social media too. I'm not super aggressive with the social media, but most of the people that say I saw you on your live stream, you know, those are people that I like to have on my social media. So, really knotty spot right here. Whole bottom of this mortise. Pretty knotty. Oh, appreciate you, Aaron. Aaron, that's all right, man. I love Bob Ross. Yeah, I told somebody else. I was like, I don't mind being the Bob Ross of woodworking. Appreciate you, man. Shout out Aaron Holler. We do complete projects from start to finish on here. So we are going to complete this bunk bed and put it together. And I do believe, like Bob Ross, that everybody can do this at home. Something Bob said all the time. And Bob only said positive stuff. So I always aim to like embody that. Bob was a really, at least what he exuded was only positivity. I know he had some struggles in his personal life, but everybody does. But what he exuded on his show was only positivity. So I aim for that. I aim to do that. So welcome to Dad's Workshop, where we exude positivity. We're almost through, folks. I mean, through the mortise, not through the show. Happy little accidents, that's right. We do make mistakes here, but we have to work around them because, with woodwork, like art, sometimes, especially if you haven't done it a million times, I have some experience, but there are more experienced guys who've just been, it's all they do. It's all they've done, and there's, just like anything, woodworkers have certain varying levels of talent, like golf or piano or anything like that. I like to place myself, somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. Not the best, not the most talented ever, but not the worst either. I think I know what I'm doing. If I had the equipment, I could build some beautiful cabinets, I think. If I had the table saws and some of the stuff I've seen some guys that I made friends with had amazing equipment and let me borrow it. And I learned some stuff on it, So yeah, we like Bob here. I went all the way through. We're going to flip it again here. I want to make sure that this shoulder is pared all the way down because it'll feel like your joint doesn't fit even if it's not pared all the way down, and then you'll take more material out and you realize you're over widening the joint. It was just that the shoulder wasn't pared down properly. It's something that I think probably happens to a lot of people who are not professionals. You don't pare the shoulder down straight enough. So, like, it's crazy because on this side, there's a lot more, I see a lot more material. I'm going to pulverize it a little bit with this. That just makes that waste easier to get out of there. Is that right? I didn't know that about Bob Ross. I did not know that. We were talking about Bob Ross here because somebody said I had Bob Ross vibes, which is True, and actually I don't hate that. So take this wider chisel. I'm going to try to pare down these sides. It should be easy here. Actually don't even need this size mallet. Got this knot right here. What's Lorcana? What is that? Is that like Magic the Gathering or something? That's Eddie. Eddie should be up in here in a little bit. All right, now my mortise is not super clean going through there, but before I do that, I'm actually going to take the shoulder out here. So I'm going to keep this zoomed in where it is. Probably I need to move it a little bit. It's like, so it's to the right of the frame on my camera. It needs to come in this way a little bit so you guys can get the best view. Hopefully I got it right. Yep, that was the right direction. All right, so now we're gonna take this top bit out right here, and this can be a little bit tricky sometimes, especially if there's knots. I made stop cuts and stuff along this side, but just to be sure, I'm gonna run this chisel here along this edge. Kind of hard to see here. I like to do it from one side and then go through. So like I'll do this, go through this, push that up, and then go to this next side so that I'm kind of like flat, like working the same area. This is kind of the way I like to do it. Hopefully that didn't blow anything out right there, but that's the way I like to do it. Makes me feel like both sides. It's kind of hard to get both sides level. One of the trickier parts of these mortises is getting both sides of the shoulder level. Notice my chisel's upside down. If I put it with the face down, it's going to keep digging down, and I don't want it to do that. I basically want to use it as a plane there. Just little things. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You froze. Nah, it's still showing on here. There's something wrong with it was my thing. All right, welcome back. Welcome to Dad's Workshop. All right, yeah, so I turn the chisel upside down if I'm trying to only take a small amount of material off and not dig down deeper than where I'm at. And it is still possible to dig down deeper on that side, less likely though. And if you sharpen your plane properly, you should have a sharp edge on that back side, you know. We do sharpening on here also. All right, so let's go back. Is it like Magic the Gathering? Oh, okay. Somebody else was talking about, Eddie was talking about that today too, man. Streaming gaming. My sons love gaming too, of course, like every other kid. Apparently it's super saturated. You just gotta be good at it. Or likable. Eddie and I had a conversation today about that very same thing. You know, being fun and likable on your video game stream. Also, Heather and I were talking about the same thing as well. Kind of selling your personality with those video game streams. Well, with any of this, probably. A little bit of that goes along with it. I'm going to use my smaller chisel here. I just feel like I can punch those out a little bit easier, more effectively, like with this. I don't know where that came off, but it looks like it's all over the place. So I don't like that. That's what happens. This happened with several of my joints already. It blew out bad, even though I made stop cuts. So we live and learn. It's pretty close to where my line was. That's why I make stop cuts. So that type of thing. I mean, it could have been worse, I guess. Looks pretty even with the other side here. I take my chisel and put it flat sideways. Sometimes it's like a way I figured how to get surfaces level. Just a little hack that I use. Looks like it didn't do too bad over there. We just need to clean that ugliness right there up. We can do that. Let's turn this thing upward a little bit. All right, so we got this mortise a lot of the way carved out, and I wanted to get this top part done too. I don't love the way this edge is here. If I try to dig into this, it looks like it's going to take a big chunk with it. So let me see if I can. It needs to come down to like right there for sure. But I don't want to get obsessed with that. That's not really the point. I want to get this mortise cleaned out, so I can look through it at y'all and say, hey, that's a good clean mortise, you know, ready for a through tenon to go through it. But let me get this little bitty chisel and go after these corners of the sides here. It's like I told you, if they're not square, I'm gonna use my small mallet for this. Straight in these corners. I also got like that needly one. That's really good for this too. Trying to make sure it's square and the shoulder is flat all the way through. Each of the joints in your piece are important, and if you carve them wrong or you make the joint wrong, you may compromise the entire piece. So taking your time, considering, you know, making sure that you don't do anything too hasty. Even today I had some blowout on this side right here that I don't love, that might have been because I was a little hasty, you know. But generally it's because it's not furniture grade wood. I'm building furniture with non-furniture grade wood. And as I said before, when you're building a bunk bed, it's more like construction a construction project because it has to hold and deal with stresses and weight and racking and people playing on it. It's like a playground kind of in a jungle gym. People treat bunk beds like, you know, a jungle gym, so, or kids do. So it's important to overbuild them, man, and make sure that they have a lot of rigidity. And if we're not using nails and screws and bolts, which I've used in other beds that I've built, and I've built a number of beds. I like to think I'm pretty savvy at bed building. If we're not using bolts, we're not using nuts, not using screws, etc., then we have to use good joinery. It has to be rock solid, you know. You can't make mistakes. Tolerances are not there for those. Giovanni Monerato, welcome. Welcome, Giovanni. Feels like I'm working just through a little bit. I see a ridge right there on the bottom of this. I might have to flip it to get it there. It's looking pretty good though, guys. Hey, what's up, Edmundo? Everybody welcome Steady Eddie, friend of the program. Finishing this joint here, Eddie. Mortise and tenon joinery. This is a through mortise. Shout out to Giovanni who made his presence known. Shout out to Eddie. Shout out Chardonnay. Is Ruiz in here tonight? Shout out Gandara. Shout out Aaron Holler, new friend of the program. Everybody who comes in and says something is our friend in here, so as long as they're not rude. So keep it coming. We're human being friendly in here. We're getting pretty close to clean there. It's looking pretty clean, if I do say so myself, and I do. I'm gonna go through it with a file just to get these little splintery edges off. Haven't put a single piece of this together yet. Well, I've tried it out, but we know because we put the last bed together that this is gonna work. It just might take a little fitting, that's all. We know it's gonna work though. And this is that part of the timber framing where you build it with the dimensions and the joints cut properly, and you know what you're doing, and you don't have to really put it together until you're on the site or the building site, right? In this case, it's a bedroom, that's the building site, so a little easier project, right? Yeah, this is gonna be the second timber framed traditional joinery bunk bed that I've built. No nails, no screws, no metal fasteners, all wood on wood joinery. It's like the first one, that prototype that I recently built. That's in the shop that you kind of see in my shorts. The one in the background, that's the dimensions that I'm basing everything off of. It's going to be, the bunk bed is going to be placed in a family member of mine's guest house. Yep. For the grandkids, because there's a lot of kids. So, yep, it's been commissioned, and it will be completed. Commissioned by my patrons, so to speak, as I explained to you earlier, Eddie. There's quite a few of my pieces floating around my parents' house, some really nice ones. I got this burled and spalted maple table that I built that sits in my parents' house. I mean, really nice pieces of furniture that I built. I got a black walnut trestle table, coffee table that I built that's there. That's out of a really nice slab of black walnut, live edge slab. Couple of other pieces there. I sold a couple that were like basically on display there. They were kind of sad about that, but you know, if I sell a piece, I gotta sell a piece. That's how it is. I don't go out of my way to sell them, but they do kind of sell themselves occasionally. Family members or friends see them. I posted a picture on Facebook years ago and it sold straight off of there. So let's turn this camera a little bit and let me take a water break, because I need it badly. This Dad's Workshop. Like, subscribe, click the bell, drop a comment. All right. Dad's Workshop. Click that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're building a bunk bed right now. I've carved both the joints out of this, I believe, now. So the third post is completed. Now it's just about working on my fourth post. And then cutting braces. If you don't know what braces are, this is a brace, and this one hasn't been carved. This is just a raw brace. This is going to sit, you know, imagine you got a post. Let's say this is a brace pocket here. It would sit in the brace pocket and then connect with another structural member, providing rigidity for that member, right? Against racking forces, that is side to side stresses on the structure. So on a bunk bed, these can come in very handy. It's interesting how that joint is like the exact same size as this tenon. Like all my joints are basically that same width. Oh, I'm so happy to have you on Dad's Workshop. I'm going to take a file and run through these, and then I'll probably start working on the next one while I got folks on. If not, we'll wrap it up for the night. But I'm so happy to have everyone here. Dad's Workshop. Hey. Gotta skip the line. Oh, okay. Let me show them with the camera. Yeah. All right. So what you're looking at right now is the connection between this joint and the post. This piece right here, that piece, is this piece on the bunk bed. It's a vertical structural member, right? The brace that I was just talking about is like this or like this, right? Vertical or diagonal braces. But what you're looking at, what I'm working on now, are these mortises right here. And they're going to be cut correctly this time, right? And then a pin goes through and provides tension against the frame. So this pin pushes basically provides tension against the beam in the housing, right? Does that make sense? Just catching up with y'all, that's all. Hope that makes sense. All right. Yeah. Oh yeah, man. It's so important to the structural rigidity of a frame. The brace is taking all the racking stresses from either direction. So when a kid jumps on it or pushes it or leans against it, either brace or one brace or another is taking that racking stress and distributing that into the frame. With a timber frame or with traditional joinery, the brilliance of it is that the whole frame is rigid once it's put together. All the joints work together to provide a structural rigidity, a turgidness, right? That allows the whole frame to take incredible stresses, like hurricane force winds and stuff. There's Japanese timber frames that are 1,000 years old. They don't even have as much diagonal bracing too. Just the brilliance of the knots. Oh, there's a delay. Yeah, well, that's how it always is, man. Yeah, there's always a slight delay. Now this file's not going to do enough to get a joint that's not fitting to fit unless you're really, really close. But we'll smoothen it out so you won't catch on any, if you have some irregularities in there, it won't necessarily catch on them in the same way. Maybe blow out a piece or crack, which is what you're trying to avoid. So I like to file them and sometimes even sand them a little, kind of bevel the outsides of them. Some people might not want to do that. I don't know. I saw a timber framer do it, so I typically do it. Each one of these posts has a number of different joints in it, and so these, when you were looking at that, as Heather was showing the bed with the camera, the post has more than just the joints I've cut in here, but because my brain can only handle so much, I want to make sure I know which direction I'm coming from, where the posts are going to be oriented on the bed before I start cutting those other joints in there. Like I've got what do you call it? A blind mortise. Those posts that go in from either side that have the braces in them are actually blind mortise. So they go in to the wood in a very specific place. So in order for me to feel comfortable with where those joints are located on the wood, I want to put together these basic runners, clamp it together, with a couple boards holding it up, and then I can kind of mark out where the locations of those are going to be, if that makes sense. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I don't know if it looked like it might storm here, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was some weather related delays with the internet. Hopefully not. Yeah, we're wrapping it up for today, guys. Looks like we're starting to wind down. We've been here for a minute. I think I started on time tonight, so about an hour. Yeah. Yep. And we'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. Everywhere, because it's the internet. See, I found a little raised spot here that would be a bear when you're putting your through tenon. I'm going to have these all over. It's going to take a lot of adjustment over time to get these straight. Make sure that if you're new to Dad's Workshop, you like and subscribe, and join us tomorrow night. We'll be doing another stream where we continue to work on the bunk bed. I'm going to start putting together. I'm going to finish that last post. I might even do that on my own tomorrow, and then I'll start putting these pieces together in a separate part of the garage where I can fit them, and we'll see this thing start to come together for real. FR, FR come together. It's gonna be tricky, man. These are always a little tricky, these joints, and they make you nervous when you put them in because they feel like they're gonna stress the wood and split it. So always nerve-wracking when you do these, and you have to trust yourself and your joinery skills, you know, your woodworking skills and chiseling and carving skills come into play. So one time I built pieces of furniture that I conceived of in my mind, and they didn't practically work out. So when I did the bunk bed and it worked, I was very proud, because I've had multiple instances in the past where I've conceived of a piece of furniture and the engineering of it did not work. I love all y'all. Chardonnay. Shout out Daniel, Chardonnay, Eddie, Steady Eddie. Shout out Giovanni Moderato. Don't see Ruiz in the chat tonight. Shout out Aaron Holler. Shout out Kelly. I didn't know Kelly was in here. I think it may be a Kelly I know. Right? Is that your Kelly, Heather? Shout out Chardonnay if I didn't say your name. Robert G, who was in here earlier. Robert G, one of the first people in here. Chardonnay won the attendance battle today. So Chardonnay is on the chart, on our attendance chart, as the first person in class. So she gets that. And love y'all. This is Dad's Workshop. Click that like button, subscribe. Check click that bell. If you're a person of means, want to make a donation, we have a whole bunch of stuff in our link tree, Amazon wish list, and we have a GoFundMe. Can't do this without the support of my people, and that includes Eddie, Daniel, Ruiz, Chardonnay, and all of those of you who have made contributions of time and money to the channel. Make sure I'm not leaving anybody's name out. Ruiz, Gandar, Chardonnay, and Eddie. All of those who made financial contributions that keep us going here. Thank you so much. Love you all. Do the next right thing. Hug somebody that you love. This is Dad's Workshop. See you tomorrow.